And we're back with On the Record with Tiffany and my special guest, District Attorney Joe Gonzales. Okay, Mr. Gonzales, now you're on the hot seat. So I want to know about you. Tell me what it was that drew you to public service.
Well, first, let me tell you, I'm a native San Antonian. I was born and raised here, and except for 3 years of my life when we lived in Houston while my wife went to law school in the mid '90s, I've spent all of my life here in San Antonio. I grew up on the west side of San Antonio, right across the street from Kennedy High School for most of my growing up years, and I would say we were probably considered lower middle middle class until my mother, and she raised us by herself. We're basically the products of a single family household. She raised 3 boys,
Wow.
and actually 4 boys, and I remember even today. I mean, there were times when I remember struggling to make ends meet. I remember hearing some of my classmates go talk about their vacations, go to back then it was Astroworld or Six Flags in Dallas, and the most we could afford is Playland down on Broadway. We were part of the free lunch program, and I remember feeling ashamed having to put my lunch card back in my pocket for fear that the other kids would tease me. And so I think that experience has brought a sense of empathy to me in this job. I went to basically educated myself because I'm first generation college educated. My mother didn't even graduate from high school because her parents were migrant workers, and so I had to kind of figure out how to apply for college. Grants and loans, and put myself through law school. Both my wife and I went to law school on our own. That gave me a sense of purpose. But one of the things I learned is that life is not all about money, about having the fanciest cars and the fanciest homes, but what you can give back to the community. Part of that, I think, is my education that I received at St. Mary's. I was a political science major and very involved with back then the Democratic Party even, and did show up to rallies that had people like Henry B. and Henry Cisneros and other people running for office. So that motivated me. At some point, I knew I wanted to enter public service, but went on, became a prosecutor, and worked under 2 or 3 different administrations. But even as a young prosecutor, what I learned was that you have to be fair in the administration of justice, and that not everybody, when you're dealing with someone that has committed a crime, not everybody deserves to or needs to go to prison. Not everybody needs to have the book thrown at them. That you ought to really temper justice with mercy. And so that's what I learned early on. I became a defense lawyer, and for 22 of my 31 years in practice, I was a defense lawyer representing people that were accused of crime. And I certainly saw my share of what I thought was systemic racism on the part of prosecutors, on the part of judges. And so that's one of the things I vowed to do, is to be fair in the way that we handled our cases. Decisions on when and how to prosecute ought to be based on the facts, and not on a person's, as cliche as it sounds, not on the color of their skin, but on the conduct that they engaged in. And so that's one of the things that I've tried to bring to this office. Another thing that I've learned over the years is that you ought to be smart on crime, not so much tough on crime, but smart. Are you really doing the best you can by, again, always seeking the toughest punishment? One of the things I learned as I was running for DA is we only have a limited budget. We only have a limited number of prosecutors. So what I want to focus on are the things that I say all the time keep us up at night. those people that commit violent crimes like murder,
Yeah.
sexual assault, aggravated robbery, those people that prey on our elderly, on our children, and our women. And so that's what we've done. We've prioritized our office to beef up those priorities. One of those areas is domestic violence. I'm proud to say that what we did is we restructured the family violence division in the DA's office. When we came in, we increased the number of prosecutors in that office. And I'm happy to say that I think we're doing a good job. Until this pandemic hit, we were going to court every day fighting for the victims of domestic violence. We're still doing it, but obviously we're limited. We have to do it through Zoom hearings, and we have to do it in a limited capacity since we're not going to court every day. But that's still a priority with us. One of the things that I hope to talk to you.
You guys have done some really great stuff with domestic violence, because I went to a women's conference here, and we were talking about what you've done in that area, because you've not only assisted the offenders, but also the women, and in rehabilitating both sides. So it's really been phenomenal what you've done there, because it's not just your idea that you've put into action of not just throwing the book at people, but how are we going to get these people back when they come back into society? What are they going to be like? You all have taken a really active role in making sure that our society is better by getting these people the help that they need.
Sure. And part of obviously our mission is to advocate for victims of crime. What we're trying to do obviously is make sure that we bring justice to those victims that have been assaulted, that have been the victims of crime. But we also need to look at the bigger picture to find out what the source of the problem is. If you have a domestic violence situation and the perpetrator continues to batter his or her spouse, is it because he's got an alcohol problem, he's got a drug abuse problem? Is it because of some other issue? And so what we're doing in our office is trying to provide resources whenever possible. That's the motivation in these pretrial diversion programs is can we offer them some resources to deal with their substance abuse issues, or maybe anger management, or some other issue, so that they just don't return to the system, because it doesn't do anyone any good to have a revolving door and have that person be arrested, spend 3, 4, 5 months in jail, can get back out and do the same thing all
again.
over again. So yes, those are some goals that we have in mind. Is treat the offender when we can, and sometimes certainly you have to deal with the individual who is a repeat offender, who is not going to learn from opportunities to divert his behavior, and those are the ones that perhaps need some incarceration. But we certainly want to be amenable to giving those people the opportunity to avail themselves of not returning to the criminal justice system.
Because for a lot of people, you don't know what you don't know. So when there's an opportunity like what you all have created for each side of this, the victim and for the perpetrator, you are going to have people that will take advantage of the opportunity that you're giving them to change their lives. And if we can do that, then we want to, because often you find that people who are committing crimes, it's because they don't know anything other than that. They've been raised in an abusive situation. It was normal for them to see that behavior as being okay. So you all come in and show them that there's another way, that it's a legitimate other way to live their lives. And for that, we all should be very thankful that you've put together a system like this, because just throwing people back in jail with no possibility of becoming a better person
Mhm.
is useless to the rest of us. So, well, we have to take a little break, go and pay some bills, and talk about some good things like kidney disease that people need to pay attention to. um, and but I want you to come back and listen to our district attorney, Joe Gonzales, because he's going to tell us a little bit more about what makes him tick and what's going on with our wonderful city. So come back, listen to On the Record with Tiffany, and we will see you in just a moment.